Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene. And hello, Zoom friends. We're glad you're with us today as well. My name is Nancy Buffum. I use the pronouns she, he, or they. Today, I'm wearing black with little flecks of gold. I'm a fairly tall person with short hair and glasses. All of the information you need to know about today's service can be found in the handy Guide to Worship. Our greeters, if you did not get one, please wave your hand and one of the greeters will bring one to you. Put it up where he can see it. Yes, I see another one back there. We can now, Zoom friends, our tech team will drop a copy of the order of service in the chat along with a visitor form. And now I'd like to invite Stella to come forward to light the chalice and let us enter into a time of worship as she lights the chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. This is a responsive reading, so your words are, we need one another. We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another. When we are in trouble and afraid, we need one another. When we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again, we need one another. When we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone, we need one another. In the hour of success, when we look for someone to share our triumphs, we need one another. In the hour of defeat, when with encouragement we might endure and stand again. When we come to die and would have gentle hands prepare us for our journey. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us. From the flame of our chalice, now Reverend Jen will light the Advent candles. We light the first one for hope, the second for peace, and this week we light the candle for love, which is the heart and center of our shared faith.
Good Sunday morning, everyone. My name is Jen Youngsun, and I'm the minister serving this beautiful congregation. Hello, Zoom friends. Just a reminder that if you want to share your joys and sorrows, just type them in the chat, and I will speak them out loud from the pulpit a little bit later. I use the pronouns she and her, and for those who could use a visual description, I'm wearing red and green today. I've got a red jacket and the green stole that my mother made for me. So, do you all remember that scene in the Charlie Brown Christmas movie? Charlie Brown is talking to his friend Linus, and he says, "I think there must be something wrong with me, Linus. I don't understand Christmas, I guess. I might be getting presents and sending Christmas cards and decorating the tree and all that, but I'm still not happy. I don't feel the way I'm supposed to feel." Oh, Charlie Brown, I'm right there with you this year. You know, I was thinking the other day that if this whole Christmas season just disappeared, never existed in the first place, I think something like it would probably have been invented. The darkness of the season, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, would inevitably call us to create rituals and festivities. And we would probably take that time to rest, stop working, and gather with loved ones. And then, in the blink of an eye, the crowds would fill the stores, the halls would be decked out in lights, and bells would jingle, and the pressure to make merry would return. What could be more human than this longing for light in the darkness and warmth and coziness when it's so cold outside? What could be more human than reaching out for the promise of a new kind of life with the birth of a newborn babe? What could be more human than praying for peace in a world full of war? What could be more human than looking up at the wide sky, looking for a sign, any kind of sign that kindles hope in the despairing heart? Unitarian Universalists have long celebrated Christmas. Our ancestors promoted the home-based, non-religious rituals, and they composed some of our most beloved songs, like Jingle Bells and It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. Now, even though we don't believe that the birth of Jesus was the arrival of God in human form, we do hold up the idea that the divine, the universal good, the mystery that we call love, arrives in the birth of every single child. Among us, as it is every Sunday, there is a wide range of feelings and experiences in the room. I know that we have people mourning the loss of loved ones, and this will be the first Christmas without her. I know that people are ill, in hospital, in recovery, struggling in these days. How are you feeling? What are you feeling these days? What kinds of things are you feeling? Tired, cold, sad, busy, grateful, worried, supported. What are you feeling? Let me see if I can get some of our Zoom friends to join. Zoom friends, I've got my handy-dandy machine here. If you want to tell us what you are feeling this season, you can put that in there too. Tired and sad. Overwhelmed. Anxious. Missing family. Hopeful. Good. Yearning. Here is a holiday season, a holy season that offers room for the complexities of being human. Here is a place, here is a community big enough for your heart, whatever it is holding today. Come, let us worship together. Every week we take some time to listen to one another and to hear the joys and the sorrows that we've been carrying for the last week. For those of you who are on Zoom, you can go ahead and type those in now. And if you didn't have a chance before the service started to come up and light a candle or place a stone in water, you may do that now. We have 3 different stations over there by the organ, and over in that corner. And so as you are moved, you may come up and engage one of those rituals. And if you're sitting in your seats or at home and you don't particularly feel called to do those things, I invite you to extend your care and love to this community, to each individual person here, and to all the peoples and all the creatures of the world.
Today's reading is by Fra Giovanni. Fra Giovanni was literally a Renaissance man. Born in the mid-1400s in Italy, he was a Franciscan friar and an accomplished architect, engineer, and archaeologist. He lived during a time of great exploration and great exploitation. In the midst of war, plague, and the harsh winters of the Little Ice Age in Europe, there was also a blossoming of science, medicine, and the arts. On Christmas Eve, 1513, he sat down to write a letter to a dear friend, and this piece has endured to this day. Take peace. The gloom of the world is but a shadow. Behind it, yet within our reach, is joy. There is radiance and glory in darkness. Could we but see? And to see, we have only to look. I beseech you, look. Life is so generous a giver, but we, judging its gifts by their covering, cast them away as ugly or heavy or hard. Remove the covering, and you will find beneath it a living splendor, woven of love by wisdom with power. Welcome it, grasp it, and you touch the angel's hand that brings it to you. Everything we call a trial, a sorrow, or a duty, believe me, that angel's hand is there. The gift is there, and the wonder of an overshadowing presence.
I like to imagine receiving such a letter from a friend, someone who knows that I'm feeling a little down this year, partly because Ken, my spouse, has to work, and I really have to go see my parents in Ohio, so I'm not going to be home for Christmas. And that really bums me out. This season also feels a little heavier after the election and all of the messages that we've been hearing. Well, not so much messages, but threats from the incoming administration. I remember once hearing someone say that the best Christmas we can really hope for is a complicated Christmas. Because every year is going to be an anniversary of loss for someone. There will always be disappointment when expectations don't really match our realities. There's always a little sadness woven into these holy days. I can feel sad, but at the same time, I can still love the smell of evergreens mingling with sugar cookies. I can still love the way our sanctuary looks and the twinkling of the lights and the songs, so many great songs during this season. I particularly love the subversive retelling of the story of Jesus, the Jew of Nazareth, numbered among the despised of Galilee. And I will never let go of the message that Jesus tried to bring, that a new world is possible, one where the power shifts from the top to the bottom, from the powerful to the powerless. And the message that, in fact, that world is already here. It is already right here. And all we must do is uncover it. It is our duty and our work to uncover it. Take peace, my friends. The gloom of the world is but a shadow. I know it feels real and heavy and serious, but behind it and yet within our reach is joy. And to see, we only have to look. These references to seeing and looking, of course, are not functions of the anatomical eye, but it is a function of the heart and the mind. Life is always giving us gifts, isn't it? But some of those gifts are oddly shaped. And some come in containers with coverings that are ugly, heavy, or hard. The author Mary Jo Cartledge Hayes recalls the first Christmas after the death of her husband. She said, "Grief can debilitate a person in ordinary times, but in extraordinary times, like the holidays, it can obliterate." And she could not afford to be obliterated. She wanted her grown children and her grandchildren to understand that life goes on even in the midst of grief. And so she got herself up, and even though she didn't quite have the energy to go out and get a live tree this year, she did go shopping to try to find an artificial one. She wandered along those store aisles until she came upon the most ghastly 6-foot tree painted white. It was perfectly ugly. And somehow this ugliness soothed her. The exterior matched her interior mood. And unable to face the boxes and boxes of ornaments that she and her husband had collected over the years, she just bought some factory-made bulbs, deep blue shiny bulbs, and a string of white lights. The tree looked like hell, she said. But at least it looked like my own personal brand of hell. Brittle and pallid and cold. That year, the family realized that all of the normal rituals that they had practiced throughout the years it wouldn't do, and it just wouldn't be right to continue. And so instead of gathering at Grandma's house on Christmas morning, they decided to gather the Saturday before Christmas. Now, her oldest daughter was so concerned that her mom wouldn't have enough presents to unwrap that day. And so she cast a wide net to make up that difference. And so under the tree, there was a present from the dog. And even her son-in-law had outreached to his best friend, and there was a gift from him. And the lop-eared bunny that lived at the elementary school but was visiting for the holidays also sent a gift. So after all the presents were open, the grandchildren were aglow, everyone seemed content, but Mary Jo, of course, she was grateful for their kindness, and she was grateful for the family that had gathered, but contented, no. Happy? No. And yet, she would later describe that this Christmas was the simplest, most honest that they'd ever had in their entire lives. Everything false and contrived had just fallen away. worries about what to wear, what to eat, whether people would like the gifts or not, carried no weight. There was no hurry. There was no artifice, no attempt to force happiness. Life is such a generous giver. The gifts are sometimes wrapped in a hard covering of heartbreak, though. And yet that doesn't have to rob us of life. As the poet David White reminds us, heartbreak is the natural outcome of caring deeply for people and things over which we have no control. Heartbreak is the natural outcome of caring deeply for people and things over which we have no control. Now, from a materialistic, secular worldview, the one that denies death and pathologizes grief, there's no way to understand heartache as a gift. That worldview has no way of understanding that. That part of the world just wants us to buy more things, drink more booze, fear our neighbors. But in this place, within this community, we know that it is possible. We can understand heartbreak as a gift. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but it is possible to understand heartbreak as a gift. In the 1944 film, Take Me to St. Louis, there's this large family of 8, and they are facing the prospect of having to move to New York, leave their beloved home for a job that the father has just gotten. Judy Garland's character has decided to stay in St. Louis to marry her sweetheart. It's Christmas Eve now, and she's sitting with her little sister and singing the song, "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." Hugh Martin, who wrote that song, first wrote it including lines like this: "It may be your last Christmas." And "friends will be near to us no more." The studio execs thought that it was too sad and made him change the words. But if you've ever seen that movie and seen and heard Judy Garland sing the song, there is all of that sadness, even without those words. It's all in there. Choosing to engage with the hard covering of sorrow and pain really doesn't make any sense from the consumerist point of view. What you have to do is you have to see through the heart eyes of someone like Fra Giovanni. You have to feel with the heart of poets and artists, and you have to listen through the ears of the prophets. And we cannot do it by ourselves, for we need each other. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us. Removing the covering, however ugly or heavy or hard, that is the thing that you are invited to do this season if you feel like you can. And if you do that, you will find beneath it a splendor and the wonder of an overshadowing presence. I may not be feeling all ho, ho, ho and fa la la this year, but I will join with the Reverend Howard Thurman when he says, "I will light candles for Christmas. I will light candles this Christmas, candles of joy despite all sadness, candles of hope where despair keeps watch, candles of courage for fear ever present, candles of peace for tempest-tossed days, candles of grace to ease heavy burdens, candles of love to inspire all my living, and candles that will burn all year long. May it be so, my friends. Amen, and blessed be. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now I send you forth into this day, into this brand new week with words from Jan Richardson. Blessed are you who bear the light in unbearable times. You who bear witness to its persistence when everything seems in shadow. Blessed are you in whom the light lives, your heart a chapel, an altar where the deepest night can be seen and can see the love that illuminates every broken thing it finds. Go in peace, my friends. Go in love.